Good evening. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Moorpark City Council for June 30th, 2025. And our council member, Chris Barrett, please lead us in the pledge.
Everyone please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Good evening. Councilmember Barrett.
Present.
Councilmember Castro. Councilmember Delgado. Mayor Indigena.
Present.
And the record will reflect that Councilmember Means is absent this evening.
All right, thank you. Tonight's meeting is being live streamed on YouTube with English and Spanish, and recordings will be available on the city's website on Tuesday morning. So to listen in Spanish, please press the three-dot button at the bottom and select Language Interpretation, and then select Spanish.
Para escuchar en español, presione el botón con 3 puntos, seleccione Interpretación de idiomas y seleccione Español. Gracias.
Next item is 4, public comment. Do we have any speakers?
I have received no speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, and that is presentation action item 5A, is to receive presentations on immigration information and resources from various organizations and city representatives. Mr. Gagahena.
All right, good evening, everybody. PJ Gagahena, City Manager. I know there's a couple of speakers maybe be waiting for this evening, but thank you all for coming this evening. We're here to learn about information and resources in response to recent immigration enforcement activities. And we have an incredible lineup of speakers. I really appreciate them taking the time out of their busy schedules to make themselves available as soon as we organize this this evening. And they're here to share resources with you and how they can provide you support. I also want to let you know there is Spanish language interpretation translation also out in the lobby that's happening simultaneously in person if you need that. And this is going to be a town hall style type of format. So what I'll do is I'll ask each speaker to come out here and present, answer some questions from the audience. If there are a lot of questions from one specific speaker, we may need to move on to the next speaker just because there's a lot of information and resources to share. And we could always come back at the end for additional questions for any of the speakers this evening. Also, the speakers, hopefully, if they could stick around, are available to answer questions you may have after the meeting as well. Or we could share their information with you for those of you online so you can follow up with them for additional questions as well. Also, for those that are online, you may ask questions in the Q&A feature of the webinar, so feel free to send those questions in and we will be monitoring them, and our Assistant to the City Manager, PIO Brian Chong, is going to help me monitor those questions, and we can try to answer those questions here in real time. And then I also ask everyone just to be respectful, everyone who's speaking here, obviously, because we are simultaneously showing this as online, we do need to have folks who ask questions to be on the microphone. So we'll rove around and go to where you're seated so you can ask your questions, so everyone online can also hear what you are asking in addition to the speakers answering your questions. So with that, I will go ahead and introduce our first speaker. Is Vanessa Frank here yet? Okay, don't see her yet. I think a few folks got a little bit behind. Folks from MICOP, either Fernando or Jorge. Okay, so they may be still trailing in here. I do know we have Willie Lubka here from Buen, Vecino. So Willie, if you want to go ahead and come up here and share with us your presentation, answer some questions. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I got text messages from both Vanessa Frank and, well, from Vanessa anyway, that they're coming. She and MICOP folks are coming up from Oxnard, and apparently the traffic on the 101 is pretty heavy. So I want to thank the City of Moorpark, city council members, city manager Gagahena, for holding this meeting and for inviting us, Buen Vecino, to be here. I'm going to share a little bit about our organization and some of what's happening with our engagement in the community right now, and then I would welcome any questions. So Buen Vecino means good neighbor in Spanish, in case you didn't know. We are promoters of good neighborship. Oh, and there's Vanessa. You were supposed to kick it off, Vanessa. We're a nonprofit that was founded in 2017, just before the first Trump regime came into power. And we were made up of, our original founders were made up of folks from Moorpark, Simi Valley, and Thousand Oaks. We tried to get some of the existing immigrant advocacy and social justice organizations in the county to open an office up here in the east part of Ventura County, and they all said, you have to form a new group. We're not going to open an office up there, but we see the need. And so we've been close partners with organizations like CAUSE and MICOP. Hey, Fernando, MICOP is here too, Jorge. Yeah, traffic. So we're a nonprofit founded in 2017, and our vision is to cultivate a world where all people live as good neighbors, where human rights are guaranteed and a sense of belonging is shared by all. So I'm going to give just a snapshot of a few of the things we do, not extensive, because over the years we've expanded into many different projects and campaigns. But one of the things we do once a month is we give citizenship fairs, and the next one's going to be here in Moorpark on July 12th. These are free to the community, supervised by attorneys, and we help people become citizens of the United States. We've probably done over 50 of these since we first started, and we circulate each month between Moorpark, Thousand Oaks, and Simi Valley. We're huge on community education. These are just a couple examples of recent events we held. We did a Know Your Rights training for employers and businesses. We held it at Cal Lutheran. We also had it available on Zoom. The participants represented tens of thousands of employees in the agricultural industry, as well as many other industries in our county. What we have found is that businesses in many, many different sectors are very, very concerned about the impact of mass deportation on their operations, as you can imagine. And then another one was about something called the Truth Act Forum, which is an event that's held once a year. It doesn't have to be held, but it's a legally required public forum on cooperation between law enforcement and federal immigration enforcement. And it's required if a local law enforcement agency actively cooperates with ICE, and in our case, our Sheriff's Department does. And so therefore, the Truth Act Forum is required each year. This year's isn't scheduled yet. We always mobilize community members to come and give public comment, because we believe that the cooperation between the Sheriff's Office and federal immigration causes more harm than good. And we're trying to explain to the Board of Supervisors and the Sheriff why that is. Keep an eye out. Maybe you can join us at the next Truth Act Forum. Typically they're in October or November. These are a couple more examples of our community education efforts, and we have a couple of people in the back with red cards. We hand out red cards to community members, which are messages about basic constitutional rights that we all have, including the right to remain silent, and the right not to be, the right to be represented by an attorney, and the right not to sign, to be forced to sign anything against our will. And one of our volunteers who was at this table meeting with community members and sharing information about their rights is here with us tonight. So glad to see you, Rosanna. We're also on the leadership team of a coalition called ICE out of Ventura County. This coalition has 26 member organizations across Ventura County. If your organization is in sympathy with our cause of ICE out of Ventura County, please speak to me. We can enlarge the coalition anytime we want. We have faith groups, labor groups, civil rights groups, all kinds of organizations that agree with separating law enforcement and making our community a safe place for every member of the public, regardless of status. We're also very active in civic engagement, trying to get people to be involved in the civic life of our county, our cities and our county, and at the state level. So I believe that register to vote booth was at Moorpark College. I see their president here. We've done this in Moorpark many times. And we've also done things like candidate forums and other programs to get people who haven't been involved to get more involved in our democracy. We'd like to express a few public safety concerns that are very much on our mind as we have ICE raids happening in Ventura County and including here in Moorpark. I think it's important for everyone to recognize what it might feel like to come home and have your spouse be gone, or have your mother or your father be gone. People in our county are experiencing this right now. There's tremendous heartbreak, tremendous trauma, psychological, legal, economic. Every time a person is arrested by ICE, there's a crisis in a family. How am I going to pay the rent? Where's Papa? This is happening every day in Ventura County, and people are in very deep pain and grief. And there's a lot of people in fear. So we're very close to this situation that these people are going through, and we'd like to share a few concerns here for all of you to think about, as well as for our city council members and Chief Odenoff. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did great, yes.
Thank you. There's been an increasing occurrence of people impersonating immigration agents and actually trying to arrest people and commit crimes. And we've had many, many stories here in Ventura County where people present themselves as immigration agents but refuse to give their name and refuse to give their badge number. How do we know, if you refuse to identify yourself, whether you're an imposter or the real thing? What should a member of the public do if they ask someone who's presenting themselves as an immigration agent, if they ask them for identification, for their name, something like that, and they refuse to provide it? That's happening. We don't know if they're imposters. The individual who's being arrested doesn't know if they're being kidnapped. So how can that problem be solved? And what should the individual do who's facing it? I would like to hear answers. The public would like to have answers because this is happening. This is a video from this morning in Thousand Oaks. We took the sound out. All you need to do is see it. This is a dash cam of one of our volunteers. The white van is ICE. This is Thousand Oaks Boulevard. Coming up to the corner of Conejo School Road. Reaching a red light. Blowing right through. Okay, we've seen this happen all the time. They're on the roadways causing danger to public safety. And we don't know if that's being enforced. If I went through the red light, I'd be subject to being ticketed, pulled over. Are the ICE drivers subject to the same law enforcement, the same protection of our public safety? Blowing through a red light puts everyone at risk. It causes accidents. It could cause deaths. There should be accountability. And there's lots more law breaking going on, witnessed by community members, by immigration agents, like that from this morning. Who is calling them out and providing accountability for public safety when they do these kinds of things? Here's another one. This is a vehicle. Notice the broken glass. This is here in Ventura County. ICE agents out on the roadway smashed both windows, passenger side and driver's side, yanked the people out of the car, took them away, left the car on the side of the road, left a pile of broken glass. Is this a legitimate law enforcement practice? What's my protection if that gets done to my car by ICE agents? Who is looking out for public safety for all of us when there's people running around the county doing this, committing violence? To me, that was a crime. And I don't know who is holding the perpetrators accountable. I want to know. I think we all want to know. And that's it. I will leave you with that thought.
Any questions for Willie? Any questions for Willie? Thank you, Willie.
Has your attendance at the citizenship events, has that changed since the rise in enforcement?
Before you answer,
So I'm going to give a broader answer.
so we can hear the question.
Oh, it needs to be on the mic, sorry.
Has attendance at your citizenship events been impacted by the rise in enforcement?
So I can tell you that attendance at many, many, many events in the community has been impacted by immigration enforcement. There's probably people who would have liked to be here tonight who aren't here because it's just not safe to come. Fortunately, at our immigration citizenship fairs, the way we do it is we have people call us and we do a screening before we invite them to come in for an appointment, because a lot of people who want to become a citizen can't. You have to have certain criteria to qualify to be able to become a U.S. citizen. So we do a screening call. And if we determine that, yes, you do qualify, come on in and we'll help you. The people are always LPRs, legal permanent residents. They're here legally. They have status. And so there really isn't a reason, although right now it looks like ICE is arresting anyone that they just think looks like an immigrant. But they're not undocumented. And so, yeah, we've had continuing, in fact, we've had even more demand because becoming a citizen creates a greater sense of protection against immigration enforcement. So those programs continue.
So if I ask an ICE agent to show their badge and they don't show the badge and they have their face covered, do we call 911? Because right now we think we might be seeing someone being kidnapped. So I don't know if you can answer that, Willie, but maybe the captain can. Or the
I was on a Zoom call with a group of our volunteers just before coming in, and we were talking about this issue. One thing that's true and has to be acknowledged, it hurts, but it's true. There's a lot of people in our community who would not call the police for anything. So we can't just say our advice is call 911, because there's a lot of people who are like, are you crazy? That's going to make things worse for me. But then there's a lot of other people, mostly those with melatonin deficiencies like me, who might be comfortable doing it. I don't know what would happen. I've heard people do that and got hung up on by 911. So, yes, maybe later speakers can give more insight about if you're in a situation where someone is being apprehended by people who refuse to identify themselves, that are wearing military gear and face masks, could you call 911 to say, I believe I'm witnessing a kidnapping, and get help? I'd like to know. We should.
I arrived a little bit late, so maybe you already discussed this, but what are you encouraging, everyday community members to do to keep each other safe?
Well, one of our later speakers is going to be the executive director of an organization called UndocuFund. UndocuFund was created to provide funding to undocumented community members during times of natural disasters like fires and floods, when those people can't access government benefits. They now are housing a rapid response network where we have text alerts to let people know where to stay away when there's confirmed ICE activity, and we also have incoming calls. Everybody should have that number in your cell phone. Call us when you see immigration. Donate to organizations that are serving the community. Become one of our rapid response volunteers. And all of those are ways. And let people know that you're concerned about what's going on. I just got my head shaved by a delightful Latino man. And I said, I'm going to speak at a city council meeting, so I've got to tidy up. And he said, what are you speaking on? And I told him, and he said, you can't pay me. And he wanted to volunteer with us. So, and that's the typical response we get. 9 out of 10 people we tell what we're doing, strangers in the community, are like, oh, that's so great, we need that help. I know there's other speakers, so maybe I'll wait till later. Thank you.
You ready? Okay. All right, so the next speaker we have is Vanessa Frank. She is an immigration attorney, also the co-founder of MARIPOSA, and also a co-founder of Swap Meet Justice. So we'll have Vanessa up here in the front. Thank you.
Hi. So that's why I wanted to go first. I want to follow Willie. So thanks, Willie. Oh, and I have this. Is this the clicker? Green button. Yes, it's a big green button. It's very easy. Good evening. Yes, I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for more than 20 years, which is crazy because I'm like 17 years old. But I became an attorney because I had to do something with immigrant trauma. I had to get a graduate degree, but so I had to do something. And lawyer was the closest thing I could think of with respect to responding to the crises facing my family, my community throughout the state of California. I'm born and raised in LA. And as I say, depending on which grandparent or great-grandparent, second, third, fourth generation U.S. citizen. And but fighting on behalf of immigrants is sort of a national pastime in the state of California. I got involved first in 1994 with the Prop 187 campaign, which was also a time of great hatred and backlash. Prop 187 in 1994 was the ballot initiative that helped Pete Wilson ride to re-election in the state of California on the idea that there are all these immigrants coming into the United States, coming into California, destroying our way of life, and that we had to have local police, school teachers, hospital and clinic staff, doctors, nurses, check everybody's immigration status before they could teach them, respond to public emergencies, or give them medical care. That has been, over the years, soundly defeated in the courts. We had different courts in the 90s and 2000s. So I don't know if Prop 187 would be soundly defeated now. But we can see what we can do as a community now. This is me. This is hard to read, but it's just a kind of a timeline of immigration history in the United States. And there have been times when our country has really pushed forward and included more people, and we've become wealthier as a result. And then there are times when we've contracted, and we've seen that the rise of hate crimes goes hand in hand with those times of contraction and concern. Does this move? Okay. Can you hear me if I'm not eating this? I'm probably not. Okay. Oh, wrong green button. So the present legal framework is in 1996, one of those times of contraction. So Prop 187 was voted in by like 59% of the votes in California. So it wasn't like, a huge majority, but it was a majority, of course. And so then in 1996, Newt Gingrich's contract on America Congress, the new GOP, proposed and successfully passed the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act. And that was really the wall that came down. And I know there's been a lot of talk in the last 10 years about building a wall. The wall fell in 1990. The wall was built in 1996, making it very, very, very difficult for people to come back if they left, if they were here without papers. The ability for people to then get papers was all but eliminated once people had any time here out of status. And people who want to come into the country lawfully, it's always been challenging. It's been increasingly challenging to do so. So the important thing to take away from these changes in the law over the last number of years is that there is no way to come lawfully. I'm going to skip ahead. This is a longer presentation. But the important takeaway is that there is no way for people to get in line to come lawfully. So we need to just let that go. Okay, just set it aside. It's really a nice story. That is not what happens in this country now. It used to happen. I have a great-grandmother to prove it. She got on a boat without any papers, without any English, and she got off at Ellis Island, and they processed her, and she came in. It was great. It was a really good time for her. She was 14. She was unaccompanied minor. She came all by herself. She was 14, right? We would call her an unaccompanied minor. She would have spent a couple weeks in a Mylar blanket in a cage if she'd come now. But at the time, they just like stamped her off the boat. They're like, good luck in the garment factory. And she was like, you got it. And that's what she did. And she sent her kids to college. So that is not possible now. Okay, that is not possible. The only way to do that is to request asylum, which is why the number of asylees has gone up, because it's the only way to come up to the border of this country and say, I would like to come in. I would like to forge a new life in that country. There is no other way to do that. Okay, there are a few work-based visas, very small number proportionally. It's tens of thousands compared to 13 million undocumented people. Okay, the need for people in this country is enormous. The visas for them is very small. Family members can bring their family members from around the world. We limit that to 260,000 visas per year. 260,000 for people from other countries who already have a parent, a spouse, a child here a sibling here in the United States. 260 worldwide, 260,000. Again, 13 million undocumented, 260,000 a year, talking about people out of the country, okay? Once again, people who are already here out of status can't get right with the law. Cannot, okay? No. Here are the benefits. Willie was talking a little bit about this, about UndocuFund. So you can see what U.S. citizens are entitled to. And you can see green card holders. In order to become a U.S. citizen, you have to have a green card. These are the things that green card holders are entitled to. Just about everything, except jury duty. Jury duty is very important. It's a lot of fun. Jury duty and voting, of course, right? You can see what asylees are entitled to. And then you can see what people with DACA. DACA is not a permanent status. It's not a legal status. It's a protection from deportation for 2 years at a time. And then you can see what undocumented people are entitled to. Okay, that's the answer. That is the answer. Are undocumented people doing things they're not supposed to? Not really. Are they voting? No, they know that's only for citizens. People come here, they want to be right with the law. ICE was detaining people at the ticket window at Ventura County Jail last week. People going to pay speeding tickets. That's how right with the law people want to be. They are undocumented. They know ICE is circling the jail. They're already afraid of sheriffs. I'm sorry, but they are, right? It's already worrisome. It's scary to go to law enforcement. It's scary to go to the court. You don't know what's going to happen. Plus, there's rumors that ICE is hanging out, and people are still going to pay their traffic tickets. That's how much the desire to be right with the law is in most people. So to say, oh, well, they should just get right with the law and get their papers, that's not possible. We as citizens should move our legislators, our leaders, to make it possible for people to get right with the law. And we need to vote on that issue consistently. This is how people can come in legally. I won't bore you. There's a million different alphabet soup categories that people can apply for. Each one limits how long you can stay, whether or not you can work, whether or not you can study, if you can bring your family or not. This is the path to a green card. This is published by Reason Magazine in 2008 or 2009. Reason Magazine was a libertarian institute, part of the Cato Institute, I think. But anyway, Reason Magazine produced this cartoon. It's still true. It's kind of hard to see, but the guy with the orange, that's a beard. I don't know why his long beard is orange. It should be white. But anyway, it just sort of colors in how long it takes to get a green card through family or through work. It's a very long time. It can take up to 25 years for people to do it the right way, which is waiting outside the country for their sibling to bring them. If you're an employer that wants to bring their employee, wants to get your employee right, once your employee has worked in this country without papers, you cannot get them right with the law, period. Period. If you're an employer who wants to bring somebody from out of the country, get in line to wait 6 or 10 years. I am an employer. I have never once offered a person a position at my law firm and said, it's cool, I can wait 6 years for you to come work for me. What is that? To become a U.S. citizen, nobody's falling off the turnip truck becoming U.S. citizens. That's not a thing. That's not real. To become a U.S. citizen, you have to have a green card. You have to be over 18. You have to pass the test. You have to, comply with a background check. It's not easy, but it's not overly difficult. As Willie says, go do it if you can, 100%. Right now, there's a great deal of chaos and uncertainty. I wanted to speak to you about a couple of opportunities here in our county. So the City of Ventura, I'm a City of Ventura resident, so I'm feeling very proud of myself right now, even though I didn't do anything. But our City Council, 6-1, passed the care policy resolution. So we're in a city council room right now. Let's pass the care policy here in Moorpark. Let's make it countywide. Let's make it statewide. Let's make it nationwide. The other proposal that's coming up is the idea of having a detainee defense fund. We know through many, many studies, I won't bore you with statistics, but many, many studies that people who are detained by immigration, when they have an attorney that can represent them, it can get them out of detention. It's important to know that most immigration detention is housed with private for-profit detention centers. Those detention centers are run by groups. There's a group called Core Civic. There's another called Geo Group. See what your stock portfolio contains. They are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Their profits have been skyrocketing lately. If you feel like, wow, my portfolio is doing great, take a look and see if you're making money off people being detained. Remember that immigration detention is not the same as criminal detention. In the criminal system, there is a concept, there is a sense, and we can debate this another time, but there is a concept of rehabilitation. There is a sense of like, let's have people come in, we'll have programs, AA, high school, GED, college, yada, yada. Immigration detention has no rehabilitative concept. That's not part of the calculus. The calculus is to just hold people to make sure that they show up. But we see over and over again that most immigrants, again, want to be right by the law. If they want to pay that speeding ticket, they're going to show up to court. So we don't need to detain folks in order to make sure that they show up to their immigration court hearing, which is what is going to give them access to lawful status in this country for themselves and their family. People come here to make a better life for themselves and their family. It's what's made this country great for many, many hundreds of years. Well, not many, many hundreds, 200 years. Yeah, Syrians are out there laughing at us. Ha, ha, ha. The Iranians are like, yeah, you don't have a history. You're 200 years. Go away. It's not a real country. So we need to figure out ways that folks can be here lawfully. And in the meantime, I hope you will get engaged in ways to help. Willie already mentioned, this is why I don't like to follow him, the Rapid Response Network on the blue slide, and then there's Swap Meet Justice, and we're taking folks who want to volunteer and help out and bring their skills to share and help out the community. So thank you all very much for being here.
I'm Dr. Lopez Lee, a professor of public policy, retired, I should say. Now, I'm glad I'm here. I'm hearing a lot of useful information. But I did a lot of this when I was elected official as well in developing public policy. And what I'm struck by is the absence of the people that should be here, right? Stakeholders, I don't see them here. People who own businesses who are affected by it. People have to stay home. You know what's happening? People are staying home. They're not being fed. Many of us have to make up the slack. Businesses would know how they can help, how they can change their standard operating procedures when they intake people, the policies that private organizations effect as a result of the laws and the restrictions that have prevented them from going to work. So it would have been very helpful if they were here. I'm surprised. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Real quick. Hi. Can you quickly summarize what the care policy is for those who are watching online who may not have heard about it? And then how can we encourage our city council to pass something similar?
Well, you can show up. That's how you encourage your city council to do anything. Show up, help them understand the issues, help them understand how important it is to you. That's how democracy works. You vote for candidates who propose things that you like, then hopefully they do the things that you want them to do. That's the magic. So right now we're seeing, you know, again, elections have consequences. When we vote for people, it's our obligation to know what they stand for. And then then we hold them accountable to do the things that they said they would do, right? And if we don't like the things that they said they're gonna do, find a different candidate and run them in the next election. So the care policy in Ventura, I am not an expert on this, but the care policy is a policy that would assure that the city of Ventura does not use its very small, limited resources to conduct ICE enforcement, to assist ICE in its enforcement. It would ensure reproductive rights for all members, all residents of the city of Ventura, and would respect people's gender identity and support care and health care for all residents of the city of Ventura, to the extent that is within the city of Ventura's budget, right? So that, obviously, just to be clear, for those who are newer, the city of Ventura can't control what the county does, can't control what the state of California does, can't control what the nation does. We can only control what our little city budget does with our little city money. But every little city can make their own choices, and then we can, of course, push the county, which is, you know, all the cities of our little region, to do the same thing. And then, of course, we can push it up to the state. And of course, our state senator, I think in Moorpark too, right? Monique Limon is now a Senate pro tem, President pro tem of the Senate. So that means she's the leader of the state Senate. And so what we do here definitely can influence her and bolster her. If she wants to push something statewide, we can say, hey, look, 1, 2, 4 cities in our county, 7 cities in your county have a care policy. Let's take it statewide. That would help her.
That was my question as well.
Thank you, Melissa.
Hi, Vanessa. I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do in the community. It's tremendous, so really appreciate it. As a community advocate here, I've heard from various people about if the parents are taken by ICE and we have children who are left behind, what would you recommend in terms of safeguarding and providing legal control for the children, right? With another family member?
I will pay you later.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. You reminded me of the slide that I didn't include. Actually, there were 2 slides. One had a lot of great statistics. I just wanted to say 53% of undocumented people have been in our county, according to Migration Policy Institute, 53% have been here at least 15 years. So if you think about how many people, when we talk about the undocumented population, they're not really newcomers, you know. They're here. They're part of our community. And then the number of mixed status, and that was, let me see if I can pull up my slide really quickly. The number of children, let's see, I'm sorry. Oh, I have the wrong slide. The number of children is likewise very large who live in mixed status households. So there are a lot of people for whom this issue of like, how do I prepare if ICE came and took my parent. So that was the other slide that I should have had, which is it's very important now for families to do a family preparedness plan. And I can't navigate, but the ILRC.org, ILRC.org, has a family preparedness plan available in English and Spanish and other languages. And we have a group, we're doing these at the swap meet. We have groups of youth, I think on DocuFund, I know Immigrant Legal Defense Center in Santa Barbara, various different groups around the county. This is something that you can do, is just organize with your friends and neighbors, have a house party, and have folks sit down and do a plan where they write down their kids' full name, phone number, emergency phone numbers. It's important to have a contact person here locally. A lot of times families have a sister that they trust, and if something were to happen to them, they would want their kids to go live with their sister in Texas. Great, but if something happens to them today, the sister's in Texas. We need to have a friend who's like here in Moorpark who can come and pick the kids up. So you wanna think in terms of like who can help you kind of nearby, what would be your long-term plan, and have those conversations with people. And we have, ILRC is a good place to start. We have a lot of attorneys. Honestly, I put the call out to estate planning attorneys on the regular. There are a lot of great estate planning attorneys in our county who are multilingual, and they've been doing wonderful work on helping guiding people through powers of attorney and how to get your affairs essentially in order about that. So, yeah, I have a stat here. 34% of undocumented people have at least one U.S. citizen child. This is Ventura County. Let's see, 43% of undocumented people are at or above the 200% poverty level. So also, it's important to remember, going to the earlier point, undocumented people are all over the place. They aren't just necessarily the most disenfranchised. A lot of people, you'd be surprised who is undocumented. A lot of people are undocumented. A lot of people have sort of a gray status. They're not necessarily undocumented, but they have TPS or DACA or some sort of liminal status, as the Migration Policy Institute says, that allows them to maybe be here, but only temporarily and under certain conditions. And people are earning money, which means they're spending money, which means they'll buy houses, which means they contribute to our economy and contribute to our community. Let's unleash that power.
We have a question over here.
Bueno, yo nomás quería
yeah.
hacerles saber a los comerciantes,
Gracias.
pues sin nosotros los inmigrantes, pues obviamente el negocio de ellos se va a ir abajo. Pues a mí me gustaría que nos apoyaran más en esto. Y gracias al Señor que dijo eso.
Yeah.
Quizás no están los comerciantes aquí y deberían estar aquí, porque no solo somos nosotros los inmigrantes, somos todos, somos una comunidad y me gustaría que si hubiera otra reunión, si vieran el video, pues me gustaría que nos apoyaran.
Yeah. Bien, yeah. Yeah, I speak in English. I can respond. Yeah, I mean, sorry, the comment was, I wish that there were more businesses that were here, similar to the earlier comment. I wish more businesses were here so that people would see it's not just the immigrant community. These are employers. Our community has spending power, and we are part of this community, and it would be important to see other voices in this room and people who depend on our business and depend on our money and depend on our economic involvement be here and take an interest. So she was hoping that more people would come out and show support for the people who support them with their dollars. And I think it's a point very well taken. And I'm really grateful. This is always a team effort, and so this it went really quickly with Willie's slide. But there was a training recently with employers. I will also recommend you Dr. Demui at Cal Lutheran University. He does wonderful research work on the economic impact of immigrants in our community. This is not an isolated community, and I think that's what we're seeing here is like people are understanding this is not some isolated group off in the corner that we can just sort of kick to the side. This is who we are in Ventura County. This is California. This is the United States. So it's time for people to kind of appreciate that and realize that we need to find a way to involve people in a humane way.
Hello, thank you so much for your work. I really appreciate it and appreciate your time and, having an opportunity to kind of address, at least my concerns and concerns of the community. But can you talk further about the Detainee Defense Fund? And is that something that everybody should be donating to, and how can we donate it to?
The idea is that it will be county funded.
Okay.
So
Can
yes,
you
vote.
talk about it or what it is?
Who's your supervisor? Former mayor, the former mayor, who's now your supervisor. It would be worth having a conversation with her and seeing, and getting her to understand, the importance of having legal representation. And the fact that, these nonprofit organizations, I'm a nonprofit, there are other nonprofits you'll hear from tonight, we're doing our best, and we have volunteer attorneys come out to volunteer events, and that's really great, and that builds a lot of goodwill, and it builds a lot of support. But we're fighting the federal government right now. And so we need a larger weapon. we need bigger tools. And so we need to have a detainee defense fund as a county, and that needs to be a line item in the county. There are models for that around the country, and even if there aren't, let's be a model. It's Ventura County.
Just a quick addition to what you were talking about with the ILRC. We've actually asked the city staff if they could find a way to provide free notary services for the caregiver affidavit, which does need to be notarized. And the city is looking into a way that perhaps we can get that at no cost for the families.
Yeah, that's helpful. I again recommend speaking with a really competent estate planning attorney, because caregiver authorization affidavit isn't necessarily what people think it is. So it's really important to understand what is the tool that people need and what are they actually getting. The most important thing for a family to do is to do that plan. And the very best step, even before the caregiver affidavit, is to go to the school and update your contact information. The emergency contacts. And they give you like 4 little teeny lines. My kids' school, they're like, you can attach papers to it. You can give them a 2-page emergency form and just list. An estate planning attorney I work with says her emergency contact is 2 pages long. Because it's just my kid's getting picked up. My child will be picked up. So she has a list, because somebody might be sick, somebody might be on vacation, somebody's out of town. So no, not 2 names, every name. So you list every single name, do it every single year. If your friends move or they change their phone number, go back into the school. It's free, it's confidential, it's easy, they're friendly, usually they should be. And you update that emergency contact information form for your kid at their school. And that is the easiest, most direct step people can take, even before caregiver affidavit, even before starting to talk about, guardianship. That is so far down the line. The first step is that emergency contact card. Thank you. Thank you so much, PJ. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Vanessa. All right, so our next speaker is Fernando Hernandez. He's the DOJ accredited legal representative from Mixteco Indigena Community Organizing Project, also known as MICOP. So I'll have Fernando come up.
Well, good afternoon, and sorry, didn't prepare a presentation for everyone today. Forgot, kind of late. Well, I work with MICOP. We have almost 20 programs. I am a trilingual speaker. I speak Mixteco, Spanish, and English. I'm actually on the MICOP's Immigration Legal and Assistance Program. And I started as a receptionist. I want to tell a little bit about my story first. I started as a receptionist. I did debate on 2015. We won state championship on Spanish. So that's what kind of, thanks. That's what kind of got me a little bit into do more debating. I like to kind of debate. I would say, I like to read a lot. I like to learn about new policies. But the main reason why I got into the MICOP's Immigration Legal Assistance Program was because I saw that my community, the Mixteco community, I saw that too many things would happen to them, but they would not know what to do, if to call the police, to not call the police. And like Vanessa mentioned before, we have gone to the Truth That Forum, like Willie also mentioned, and it has sadly been most of the community members who are Mixteco speakers don't want to go because they fear that them going would mean that the police would do something against them. It's sad. This month, I almost submitted around 5 U applications which the Visa U is a visa available for victims of many types of crimes. And this is really sad because most of the community members, they were victim not once, twice, or maybe sometimes even 3 times. But the main reason why they did not call the police was because they were afraid, that they might be cooperating with ICE. So that's the main reason. Also, the other reason is going to be a language barrier. So me being there with MICOP or with the immigration team has, at least the way I see it, we have been able to do more, give more resources to the community. On MICOP, we have almost 20 programs. I'm sorry, I didn't come prepared to share everything about MICOP. We have almost 20 programs. We have the community organizing team. And we also, during the pandemic, the COVID-19, we had many of the coworkers sharing information on Mixteco, Purepecha, Zapoteco to the community members, because it's not just a Mixteco, right? There's many, around 28 native languages, Mixteco. So there are people from Guerrero, I'm from San Martin Perez, there's some from San Juan Piña. There's so many Mixteco variants. So that's something that I also share with Sheriff Ihop. I was gonna see him here, but maybe he's busy. But that was something I shared with them, because there are many times where people are victims and they are not able to get a interpreter for them at that specific time. So getting back to MICOP, we have many other different programs. Most of our staffs have Mixteco speakers. If not Mixteco, we have Zapoteco, Purepecha. We have a Indigenous Language Services program, which offers 24 indigenous languages for every native language from Oaxaca or from other states, if we are able to offer those services. Myself, I have been with immigration. The MILA program started on September 2018. It was just my supervisor, Lisa Elizabeth Diniacos. She's a DOJ accredited legal representative, like myself. She has more time, also more experience. And we have 2 offices, 3 offices. We have 2 here in Ventura County, one in Santa Barbara County, and then another one in San Luis Obispo County. That one is barely opening, but we have been able to do Know Your Rights Forum, and I usually do it on both Mixteco and Spanish, but it also depends on who we are presenting for. Most of the times we will also request some other interpreters, because we want everyone to be able to know their rights. And just the example that I usually use is that when I got here, I was born here in Ventura. My parents took me back to my story. It might be like many other kids that were born here. They took me back when I was maybe 1. I came back when I was 12. I knew some Spanish. The first word that I learned from English being at my hometown was, I think, nuts. I'm not sure why, but that was the first thing that I learned. And that was my first word. It was really confusing for me, there was it was a whole different word for me when I got here. But thankfully, thanks to the sacrifices that my parents did, my dad sadly died when COVID-19 hit. But it was difficult for me. It kind of is still. But thanks to MICOP, I was able to get so much help from my Arsenio. Even he's an executive director. So they were really I really appreciate the help that MICOP has provided me, but we also like to offer these services to our community. We want them to know that we are here for them. And we are right now, my coworker is gonna speak a little bit more about what we're doing right now, but we are also doing Know Your Rights Forum, Mixteco Spanish. We are doing family preparedness plan and just sharing with them to because most of the times people go to notaries, and I don't really like when they do that, because most of the times there will be consequences for them. We have had cases where clients sadly were deported because of a mistake that notary did. So that's why we don't support someone go to a notary at all. And I think I might have missed a few things, but the main point that we're trying to do right now is we have many programs. We have help for people who have kids with special needs. We have a team that connects into the Tri-County. and they are also being helped on their own native language, which is most of the time is in Mixteco. That way that we have seen it here in Ventura County, most of the time it's going to be Mixteco. Santa Paula, it's Purepecha or Zapoteco. And in Santa Maria, it's mostly Mixteco, but from Guerrero. So there are different variants, you know. On my own native Mixteco, I might say it's Tqui, which is water. And for the other ones, they might say a little bit different. So that's the importance of having the interpretation, but from their own hometown, you know, from their own town. So I think that was mostly it. I might need the interpreters for my coworker, or I'm not sure if I could also interpret for him if you guys wish to, but it's up to you. Well, I could also share I didn't bring the MICOP brochure, I only brought my brochure, but we do different type of immigration legal services, DACA renewals, green card renewals, and we are also members of ISOT of Ventura County. I also have to give a lot of credit to Vanessa because, I mean, she helps with people, community members. We just had the Swami Justice, or they had the Swami Justice last Sunday, and it was really nice. You know, we were able to see community members who had questions about green card renewals or citizenships. So it's have to give a lot of props to them, you know, because I mean, they have been doing this for a long time. Willie also. This is so new to me, but I really like this job. I wish that my sisters, they want to follow the same footsteps. And we're also like, sadly, my two youngest sisters, they don't speak Mixteco anymore, right? But it's something that we want to preserve. We want to teach them, but it's not happening. But yeah, thank you.
I'll just introduce Jorge real quick. Thank you for sharing that, Fernando. Yeah, so Jorge Toledano is the manager of community organizing, also from MICOP.
¿Ande bando?
Hola a todos. Oh, hi, everyone.
Esa es una prueba. Gracias por estar aquí.
Thank you for being here.
Mi nombre es Jorge Toledano Ortiz.
My name is Jorge Toledano Ortiz.
Soy el manager de los organizadores comunitarios.
I'm the manager or supervisor of the community organizing team.
Mi equipo, el equipo del departamento de organizadores comunitarios han hecho un gran trabajo.
Sorry, I haven't interpreted for a long time, so.
El equipo de organizadores comunitarios han hecho un gran trabajo.
The team of the community organizing team have done a good job.
Hemos hecho foros comunitarios.
We have done community forums.
Donde nuestra comunidad va a saber sus derechos.
Where our community goes to know about their rights or to learn about their rights.
No solamente de inmigración, sino de derechos laborales que lo que tienen en su lugar de trabajo, pero en el año que empezamos con foros comunitarios para lo que es derecho de inmigración. No lo tengo escrito. Okay, más despacio. En enero del 2025 empezamos con los foros comunitarios de inmigración.
On January 2025, we started to do immigration forums.
Él presenta los foros.
I'm the one that usually does the presentations.
Tenemos un equipo de respuesta rápida.
We also have a rapid response team.
También es parte de respuesta rápida también.
I'm also part of the response team.
Cuando una de las redadas que hubo en Bakersfield, la gente se asustó mucho.
When there was the ICE raid in Bakersfield, people were afraid.
Y nosotros empezamos a educar a la comunidad que no eran redadas, iban por una persona en específico.
So that's when we started sharing with the community that it was not raids, they were going for specifically someone.
Lo hacemos en Facebook Live, en Radio Indigena.
We did it for Facebook Live. We also have a radio station, which is called Radio Indigena.
Y todavía seguimos haciéndolo.
And we are still doing it.
Ahora vengo a hablarles sobre un poquito de lo que es los derechos que tienen los trabajadores en el campo.
I come now to share more about the rights that the community has when they work in agriculture.
O no solamente en el campo, sino en su trabajo en general, porque la Labor Commissioner agarra cualquier industria.
Not just on the working at the agricultural fields, because it's also about wherever they work. Labor commission.
Cuando el trabajador tiene derecho de que la compañía no abra la puerta a la migración.
That the worker has the rights that the company should not just open the doors for ICE to come in.
Sí puede cuando tiene una orden del juez, ¿verdad?
They can only do it once they have a judicial warrant.
Hay un código laboral que enforza la comisionada laboral Labor Commissioner, que es el 90.2.
There's a section of the labor code where it protects immigrant workers from their employers from voluntarily helping ICE to enter a workplace.
Que no, esta ley prohíbe a los empleadores abrir la puerta al ICE, ¿verdad? También les prohíbe también que no notifiquen a la gente que está trabajando ahí dentro de 72 horas. Si no lo hace, porque inmigración manda una carta, un aviso que van a entrar a revisar los papeles. Pero si no lo hace, si la compañía dice, ¿sabes qué? No voy a hacer nada, entonces esa compañía puede recibir hasta $2,000 a $5,000 de multa.
There's also a law code that if the owners don't let the workers know if they do receive a letter after 74 hours, if they don't let them know that ICE will be coming in, there could also be a penalty for them, which is around fine. Thank you. Fine from $2,000 to $5,000.
Esas son las leyes que protegen al trabajador. También está otro, el 1019, también, que prohíbe también hacer represalias a llamar a migración porque te quejas de tus derechos laborales, ¿verdad?
That's one of them, and there's also the code 1019, which protects from an employer from having retaliation against the workers if they do call on them for having working conditions, I would say.
Y si un empleador viola esta ley por todo lo que dijimos hace rato de inmigración y todo eso, el empleador puede recibir hasta $10,000 de multa si es que incumple con estas leyes.
And with the things that was mentioned before, if the employer goes against this, they could receive a fine up to $10,000.
Y eso es lo que hacemos cuando hacemos los foros comunitarios. Hablamos en nuestro idioma, hablamos en Mixteco, y pues somos también parte de la respuesta rápida de 805 en Documpon.
And that's what we do when we usually do the community forums. We also share about their rights, just for them to know, and it's usually done under Mixteco, the native language, and we're also part of the 805 immigrant coalition. Yeah.
También salimos, cuando se quema, salimos a repartir más respiradores a los trabajadores agrícolas, a nuestra comunidad, porque queremos proteger a nuestra comunidad lo más posible.
And in the event of fire incidents, we have also gone out to share the mask with the community, just for them also to be protective, because they're also, I'm just going to be adding this is not interpreting anymore, but they also, we also do because maybe here there's not any agricultural worker, but most of the times my dad got here, he had, like Vanessa mentioned, he was here for almost 15 years plus. Sadly, he did not live on his own. We took him back to Mexico, but it was to bury him. And my mom's still here. She's old. I feel like that was. She's young, I would say. We do our work, even myself. When I was 13, I know it's against the laws, but I was working at the strawberry fields. When I was in the summertime, I would not enjoy my summertime like everyone else maybe did. I would travel to Salinas, it's close to San Francisco. I would usually go there to work. That taught me a lot. It taught me how that my parents have to wake up every morning, 5 a.m., and they don't get they have to take my sisters to the babysitter, and everything else. It just taught me a little bit more responsibility. So I did not actually. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm against it. No, I'm not complaining anything because I mean it helped me a lot. Now I'm like I mean I could be doing better, yes, but I'm here at least. I'm trying to help my community, but yeah, it's just thank you everyone that came here. We have many other services that we offer MICOP, but we also do every month we do monthly meetings where we do food distribution. The way that we saw this month, it has, or at least this 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it has been like pretty crazy. Most of the community members, we decided to take the food to them because most of them were afraid to go to the office. So that's why we also started doing patrolling, where we go at 5 a.m. to just make sure the ice is not around the agricultural fields, around Oxnard. But yeah.
Si tienen la oportunidad de donar algo para nuestra comunidad, es muy triste ver a un niño quedarse solo, 13 años, un niño sin sus dos papás.
If you guys have the opportunity to be able to donate something, I think this is the case of the 13-year-old who both parents were deported, and sadly, we have been kind of been able to help them a little bit, but we can only do too much for them.
Ustedes tienen un gran poder de elegir a quién nos va a gobernar en los siguientes años, ver quién está a favor de nuestra comunidad, y ustedes son los que pueden o podemos, más bien podemos hacer ese cambio.
You guys have the power to decide who's going to be governing or who's going to be on the power for the next years. So, yeah.
Porque todos somos una misma comunidad, todos hacemos grande este país y todos hacemos grande al condado de Ventura. Gracias.
We are all one.
Gracias, Jorge. Was there any questions for either Jorge or Fernando? Okay. Right now, we're going to, we do have a question back there. The question was, is there a GoFundMe for the boy that needs help?
I think the night in Oaxaca is going to be August 8th. I'm not sure. I could follow up on that. And about I think Vanessa knows a little bit more than myself, so sorry. And for the kid, I could also ask, and I could also just follow up, but maybe Primitiva is here. Yeah, I don't know if she also has more. Okay. Yeah. I could also follow up on that. If I could get your email or something. I usually work better by email, so. Thank you.
A ver, en español. Pueden entrar también en mixteco.org. Ahí es nuestra página de internet. Ahí pueden también donar.
Donate online. Okay, great. Okay, all right. Well, with that, we do have our next speaker who's on Zoom. Primitiva Hernandez is the Executive Director of 805 Undocumented. Hello, Primitiva, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You go ahead and start. Thank you.
No, she's sharing her screen. It's fine. She's got it.
Excellent. Well, thank you, City of Moorpark, for having 805 Undocumented present today on our general services and financial support. We are a nonprofit organization that was started in 2018 out of the ashes of the Thomas Fire. For 3 years, we were a project under MICOP, which you learned from today. cause and future leaders of America with the support from the McCoon Foundation and Ventura County Community Foundation. So for about 3 years, we were a project under these three nonprofits, the founding nonprofits of 805 Undocu Fund. But due to the consistent climate-induced disasters that we've experienced in the Central Coast, we became our own nonprofit in December 2021. So we just completed our 3rd year of being our own nonprofit, and we have a very diverse board. Vanessa Frank, who you heard from today, is a board member. Our mission and vision: we mobilize resources when disasters hit, providing short-term financial relief, and we also long-term advocate for systems change at the policy level. Our vision: we envision a future where undocumented individuals and families thrive in a region without systemic inequities. And most recently, we completed our first strategic plan in which we rewrote what a disaster is to the undocumented community, where we are stating that the lack of a comprehensive and humane immigration reform is a disaster for the undocumented community. And we do this work because undocumented, mixed status households, as you saw during Vanessa Frank's presentation, that aren't eligible for a lot of things that you might think they are. One of those is FEMA assistance. So when disasters hit, undocumented, some mixed status households aren't able to qualify for FEMA assistance. If they are out of work due to a climate-induced disaster, are unable to collect unemployment even though they pay into it due to not having a social security number. If they are laid off for whatever reason, they don't have access to these resources. Yes, they may receive food stamps, but that is for their U.S. citizen children. An undocumented person does not receive food stamps. Some over the age of 55 more recently started being eligible to receive Medi-Cal, but unlike what many might think, there's a lot of entitlement benefits that undocumented people are just not able to access, despite spending their entire working lives paying into these systems, such as Social Security as well. They subsidize Social Security, but when they reach retirement age, there is no retirement for undocumented people. And that is why 805 Undocu Fund exists, to be able to meet this need until we are able to achieve a humane, comprehensive immigration reform that will give all of the undocumented people a way to access those benefits, a way to be here legally and be fully incorporated as people in this country. And we operate out of a blue skies and red skies sort of framework. Blue skies is when everything, we are not under a climate-induced disaster. Like right now, there's no wildfires, knock on wood. It's wildfire season. And then red skies is when there's a disaster, when we are activated to respond to the needs of a community. We fundraise to be able to support those impacted people with financial assistance. We have distributed, since our inception as a project in 2018, over $8.5 million to Ventura County and Santa Barbara County residents who are undocumented. And right now, for us, we're going to be in red skies during this entire administration for obvious reasons that you learned today, like the violent and aggressive immigration enforcement that we are seeing all throughout the United States. But here, Ventura County has more recently been just disproportionately targeted and impacted among the 3 counties that we serve, which is San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura. We have 3 main relief funds. We have our disaster relief fund, which is where people can donate for us to be able to have funds if we were to be hit with wildfires, floods, earthquakes. I would say floods and wildfires definitely is something more common for us. We also have our small scale disaster fund for one-time cash assistance for those people that are impacted by home fires. And then the one that I do want to highlight right now, especially because people asked about a way to support the families impacted by family separation in our region, is the Emergency Assistance Fund that we just started about a month ago. And this fund is to support families that have a family member that is either detained and facing deportation, or that has already been deported. We are currently have about 100 people on our wait list, and we have distributed over $98,000. So everything that we fundraise through any of our funds, whether it's disaster relief, small scale disaster, emergency assistance fund, every dollar on these funds goes directly back to the impacted families. So that is a way that all of you can contribute, and the funds go directly to families. Right now I have here over 50 checks that I need to sign, and many of these funds are going to be going to Ventura County families that have been impacted by family separation. So some of our major programs we have is our community organizing program, and which is our advocacy arm through our nonprofit, in which we engage in local efforts to influence policy to bring about better protections for our undocumented community. We also are connected with California Immigrant Policy Center at the state level, where we advocate for statewide policies as well, such as healthcare for all, or unemployment benefits for all, safety net for all. And that is something that has been part of our long-term strategy for systems change at the policy level. We also co-lead with UndocuFund in Sonoma County, the California UndocuFund Network, which is a statewide mutual aid network of organizations that activate during disasters and that provide financial assistance or services to undocumented communities when disasters hit. And we co-lead this statewide network to also advocate for policies at the state level that are more representative and responsive to the unique needs of our undocumented community. And some of the work that we have been spending most of our very limited resources on have been related to immigration. We are the leading organization, along with Buen Vecino and MICOP, of the 805 Immigrant Coalition. These three nonprofits, 805 UndocuFund, Buen Vecino, and MICOP, are the steering committee of the 805 Immigrant Coalition. And this coalition is going into its 11th year of have been started by California Immigrant Policy Center and CAUSE at that time. And under this coalition, 805 Immigrant Coalition, we are running our 805 Immigrant Rapid Response Network, which is the network operating in San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. We have a hotline to which people can call and report if they are seeing suspected immigration enforcement happening. This is what a typical call will look like. Someone sees what they might suspect to be ICE, or right now you don't really know, maybe bounty hunters, like anything that they suspect being related to immigration enforcement. they call our hotline, and we have a dispatcher that will answer, process those calls, and we will send out legal observers. Legal observers was also our initial thought of how we were going to respond to this administration's mass deportations, but now we're seeing that legal observers aren't necessarily what is needed because immigration enforcement isn't following the law. There are many situations, as Willie showed in his presentation, where they are violating the law, where they are putting the community at risk. So these legal observers, which we are now referring more to responders, because we've also had to shift the way we as a community respond to these attacks of aggression and violence onto our communities, and show you what's truly happening out there. So our responders will go out, will document and show you videos like the ones that Willie shared with you all. And then accompaniment, because as Vanessa Frank was also saying on her presentation, there is no comprehensive immigration process at this moment. Even people that have been trying to come in the right way, seeking asylum, are getting their cases dismissed and being met by immigration enforcement right outside of the court. Families will not hear from their family members for days. We will try to look them up in the ICE locator without any success. We've heard that it's been taking days, sometimes even a week, for anyone to find their missing family member. So we are able to support the community with based on what we are seeing at this time. And these are the graphics that you may have been seeing circulating around. If you haven't, all of you are able to promote the work that we're doing, where to report ICE and how to stay informed, how to register to receive alerts. If you want to receive real-time alerts about where ICE has been verified to be in your communities, you text the word alerta or alert to the hotline number. And once our volunteers process those registrations, you'll receive a confirmation message. We are always recruiting volunteers. 98% of the Rapid Response Network is operated and functions due to volunteers. We have over 400 volunteers that have different roles. They are either operators, they are responders, they support with accompaniment, safe rides. Some of them do multiple things, fundraising. If you are trying to figure out where you can get plugged in, there is something for everyone to do, and a very high need for each and every person that can contribute towards our cause in this movement. We are also aware that Ventura County has been impacted differently. More recently, East Ventura County, we don't know if it's because of the location of the field office, but almost on a daily basis, now it has become almost a way of life for people to just be on the lookout for immigration enforcement. And believe me, if they were truly only coming after violent criminals like the administration originally led its people to believe that they were going to come after violent criminal offenders, any one of us would have a very difficult time defending. But the truth and the reality is that most people that are apprehended don't have any criminal record at all, or may have minor infractions. And regardless, there's a mistaken identity, collateral arrest. But once an arrest is made, no one gets released due to a mistaken identity or if they were a collateral arrest. Once you are in there, the odds of you being released, even on bond, are very, very slim. And we have numbers. These are preliminary numbers that are verified through the hotline, so they're not even actual numbers. If you want true numbers, you go to you have to go ask ICE directly, and I know that many reporters out there have tried to ask them for numbers without any without success. So these numbers that we're sharing are what we have verified through our hotline and that people have when families reach out to us. Since this administration took office, we have recorded 181 apprehensions or kidnappings throughout the Central Coast, the 3 counties that we cover, Ventura County being the most impacted. Just in June alone, we know of 59 apprehensions in Ventura County. And with the 2 most the 2 days where we saw the most apprehensions, kidnappings on our community being Tuesday, June 10, where many of you may have seen how ICE came into Ventura County along with Border Patrol and doing worksite raids, illegally trespassing private property, and chasing farm workers down the fields. On that day, we received over 600 calls to our hotline, and we received over 4,000 text messages in one day alone. The following day where we saw also significant enforcement actions were on Friday, June 13. On that day, we received almost 400 calls and nearly 3,000 text messages. Through this alert system that we have where people can get registered to receive real-time alerts, we have over 28,000 phone numbers registered to receive alerts. We also have our social media where we will post verified information. And like I said, we do this because the community cannot, they live in fear, anxiety, and because at this point, we know that anyone is fair game at this point. If you are undocumented under this administration, they have said you are by definition a criminal. If you're undocumented, which we know it's not true. Being here undocumented is a matter of civil rights being a civil offense because it is heard in civil court. You're not taken to criminal court for being undocumented. But under this administration, anyone who is here undocumented is considered a criminal. So now you have an entire community that have deep roots within your cities, within our counties, that feel persecuted, feel threatened. They have to make the decision on a daily basis from the time they step out of their home that they have to, because you need to earn a living, because you're not eligible to all these entitlement benefits that some people think you are, and you still have to pay rent and you still have to pay bills and provide for your family, not knowing if you're gonna be able to return to work, to your home, to see your family again, to see your children, to be able to have a chance at the American dream that many of us were led to believe, or the thought that this country represented. You know, that is what the Statue of Liberty over there is saying, welcoming immigrants. Well, only certain immigrants apparently are welcome in this country. And those of us that believed in the American dream are finding ourselves that it's the American dream is not for everyone, and we are forging our own American dream, our own version of the American dream, with many allies, with many people who are U.S. citizens who are fighting with us to protect their own neighbors, to protect their own friends from the violence and aggression that this administration, through the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, and Border Patrol, is inflicting on an entire community. This is information here that some of you out there in the audience mentioned about why aren't the business community here? We know that this violence and aggression is specifically impacting small business owners. If any of you live in Moorpark and in Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley, we hear it all the time that many businesses have to close when ICE is conducting raids. Some of the businesses were raided by ICE, taking many of their employees. So then other employees are afraid to go to work, and it's impacting our local economy. As well as for the undocumented community, anyone in a uniform cannot be trusted, and they will be far less likely to report crime, far less likely to report if they are victims of crime. So that means that trust that is already very thin and brittle between the undocumented community and the immigrant community and local law enforcement is going to be further eroded because of what these federal agencies are doing to our local communities. You know, when this administration is over and the next one takes over, hopefully it won't be the same. They're going to pack their bags and leave. And who's going to be left behind, responsible for repairing a broken community? It's going to be our local law enforcement, community members that care about what's happening, and everybody else here. So everyone has a role to play. There is this website here or you can just Google what to do if immigration comes to your workplace, National Immigration Law Center. And it's a brochure that tells you what to do. It's specifically for businesses, what to do during a I-9 audit. If ICE comes to your workplace, what do you need to ask in terms of documents, all of that. Really great information, highly recommended. And I know that when Vecino put together a Know Your Rights for businesses, maybe we'll put together another one. And now that the business community is seeing how it's impacting their ability to also continue running a business. But here is our social media if you want to stay up to date about what's happening. 805 Immigrant Coalition on Instagram, Facebook, and our website is where we post all the alerts, all the verified ICE sightings in the community, how to support the families directly through our Emergency Assistance Fund. We also have 805 Undocu Fund, which is our nonprofit overseeing the Rapid Response Network, which is more general information and not necessarily alerts, but just general info on the immigration enforcement that we're seeing, along with disaster relief and the other work that we do. This is our staff members here if you want to reach out to any one of us. And that's all I have for today. I can take some questions if anybody needs any clarification on anything else.
Great. Thank you, Primitiva. Yeah, if we could maybe just take one question here, just because I know for a time check, it's at 7:32, and we have about 6 or 7 more speakers to go. So I just want to be mindful and making sure everyone gets a chance to speak. So we'll take one question here.
Thank you, Primitiva. I have a question regarding the court proceedings and the cases being dismissed. And that question is, has that been going on, that really these asylum cases are routinely dismissed, and now that ICE is just being there outside the court, and that hadn't happened before? So I'm just trying to figure out how that's working. Does it vary by judge? Is it most common that this is just something that happens, these cases get dismissed? And then my next question, follow-up, is what advice do we give to families, or to go to court, to not go to court? So thank you.
Thank you. I think Vanessa Frank would probably be more equipped to answer this, but based on what the families are telling us and what Vanessa Frank has also told us, is that I believe in the past, prior to this administration, if your case was dismissed for an asylum seeker, that was it. your case was dismissed, you were already here, you were able to go back home and go about with your life, continue with your life. Now what is happening is that, what I hear is that cases who were not scheduled to be heard in maybe like a year and a half, months, are being called in with a couple of days notice, maybe weeks notice. They get called in just to hear that their case is dismissed, which is what was happening before. But now, when your case is dismissed, what you are being met when you leave the court is with ICE outside, picking you up, separating from your family because now your case is dismissed. Not really sure what the legal, what that means in terms of immigration, the process, but that is what families are facing now. It was a different process prior to this administration. Under this administration, it means that if your case is dismissed, ICE is waiting outside, and those are all the videos that you've been seeing about how families are being ripped apart when their cases are dismissed. And also, in addition to that, that is a decision that asylum seekers now are very afraid to go to their court hearings because they don't know what they're going to be faced with, and if they're going to be separated from their families. We don't have family detentions here in California, so we have many situations where they were transferred to other states, and in Texas, where they do have family detention centers when parents are taken with their minor children. But I don't know if, Vanessa, you're able to answer, more about why that is happening now compared to why that wasn't happening during the Biden administration.
Or any administration. So what it is when a case is dismissed, what is happening is ICE never used to be at immigration court, but now they're there daily. So when the case is dismissed, people are leaving. They've been taken even in cases when the attorney is there. And a lot of my colleagues have said they've been there and ICE has taken their client, physically taken them. And, we're attorneys, we're not bodyguards. And so they are being detained. What that means legally is, the reason that never used to happen is if an immigration judge determined that your case was worthy of dismissal, meaning it wasn't going to be heard anymore, so you wouldn't win, but you also wouldn't lose, then that was the judge's decision. And there you go. And that was very rare that would happen. But if it happened, then it happened. But now what is happening legally is that the judge is saying this case is not worthy of, coming to a conclusion. We're gonna leave it as a draw, not win, but not lose. When you are detained by ICE, what happens? You go to a detention center, and then what? You have the right to see a judge. So you're back again in front of a judge. But the question is, why would you have people cycle around? If you think it through, when people are detained, they have the right to see a judge, but they just saw a judge. So what's happening? So again, I'm always tempted. I was born in the 70s. Follow the money, right? Follow the money. So that's what's happening. Yeah. Well, so Trump made a political comment that he wanted to have 1 million deportations every year. He's going to deport 1 million people. So 365. So if you detain 3,000 people a day, more or less, you can hit that. So that's there's not a great deal of transparency with this administration, but that's what folks are understanding. That must be what's happening. We don't know. Thank you.
Yeah, apologies, just because we have short on time. I mean, if you have questions, please hold them till the end, and if we can answer those for you, we will. But right now, I'd like to find out if Kelly Brown is here from 201 Ventura County. Okay, do not see her. Oh, you're here. Okay, I'm sorry. There you are. Kelly Brown from 201 Ventura.
Hi. I have to say I didn't know that I was speaking tonight, but I can talk all the time, so just take me 1 second to get my notes here. So we have seen quite an uptick in call volume at 211. We are a 24/7 information and referral hotline that is here in Ventura County. Our staff are bilingual, English and Spanish. We're available in 24 hours a day via phone, or you can text in your zip code to 898-211. I can give you some information about how the effects that we have seen since the enforcement increase in June. So we have seen a 57% increase in Spanish, monolingual Spanish language calls starting in June. And in addition to that, we have seen an increase in call volume, specifically from the cities of Oxnard, Port Hueneme, Santa Paula, Fillmore, both west and south Ventura regions, city of Ventura. So the mapping by zip code from the increases in calls lets us see that communities with higher proportions of immigrant households and essential workers definitely are feeling the stress from this increased resource needs. The types of resources that our community are looking for are information on what to do if they're stopped by immigration officials, referrals to immigration legal aid and deportation defense, guidance on how to create a family safety plan, emergency rental assistance because of a sudden loss of income, help understanding tenants' rights and for families impacted by detainment, access to emergency shelter or transitional housing, referrals for counseling, especially trauma-informed and bilingual providers, assistance for children experiencing distress and anxiety at school or home, assurance of anonymity and confidentiality for undocumented or mixed status households, referrals to culturally trusted providers in familiar community settings, and requests for locations offering help without requiring identification or proof of status. I have information on who we have been referring the most to starting in June, which is a different set of resources for sure than we normally have our top referrals to. So Mercy House being the number one, Ventura County Legal Aid, MICOP, Coalition for Family Harmony, and Catholic Charities of Ventura County have been our top 5 referral sources for starting in June. Make sure I gave you all the goods that I have here. I do have some hard to listen to maybe quotes, but I'll just let you know that I tracked these by the weeks of June. So the first week of June, I just picked some random quotes per week. So the first week, I have a quote of, I'm calling for my neighbor. He's undocumented and afraid to go to work. How can I get information without giving his name? Week 2, please don't tell anyone I called. I just need to know what my rights are. And I haven't left the house in 3 days. I'm too afraid that they're going to take me or my son. Week 3, can I be evicted if my husband gets detained? And we heard someone was taken from our block last night. What can we do? And week 4, my kids are having nightmares since the raid down the street. And my daughter didn't go to school this week. She's scared someone will take us while she's gone. I think that's pretty much all the data that I have for you now. I guess, well, the last thing is that our first-time caller rate has raised quite a bit. So our first time, somebody calling us for the first time, raised by 36% in June. So we're definitely reaching a new demographic that have never reached out to us previously. And our request for just legal assistance period has risen by 92% starting in June. And our calls where we can pick up signs of emotional distress, meaning that somebody mentions the word anxiety, depression, stress. Those calls have increased by 81% starting in June. And mostly with parents describing their children afraid to sleep or attend school, or adults fearing leaving the house. And what we're doing at 211, as was mentioned earlier, we do help the community during times of disaster and emergency, and we do consider this to be a disaster/emergency as well. And we, during times of disaster and emergency, we pull together all the new resources that are coming available for the community, and then we make those available on our website and by calling and texting in. So this week we'll be launching what I'm calling a community distress page, which will have all of the different resources that we know about, and doing a special training for all of our 211 staff. Our own staff have been affected as well, so I know that it's been difficult for them. So definitely looking to support our own staff as well as the whole community. So if anybody has questions, let me know.
Thank you, Kelly, for representing 211 Ventura County. Next, we have Astrid Munoz, Community Service Coordinator from Aspiranet Mental Health Services. They are our kind of newest mental health service provider here in the City of Moorpark in partnership with the County of Ventura. We are seeing if she is now setting her up on Zoom online.
Hello. Hi, good evening.
Hi, Astrid. Go ahead. You can begin.
Hi. Yeah, so my name is Astrid, and I am the new Community Services Coordinator at the newest Aspiranet Behavioral Clinic in Moorpark. We are going to be, well, we are located at 612 Spring Road in the Ruben Castro Community Center, which is in the same building where the Moorpark Family Medical Clinic Center is, the First Five, HSA, as well as Catholic Charities. So we're in a really, really good location right next to the police department. Aspiranet is a nonprofit behavioral health organization, for those of you that don't know, specifically here in California. And we offer various programs ranging from services for foster youth to intensive home-based services in school and therapy services. Our sister clinic is in Camarillo, and we now have a smaller clinic in Moorpark, and that's going to primarily focus on therapy services. We're going to be serving the community, so we are going to be taking walk-ins, and we do accept Medi-Cal, which is really, really great. I'm really excited about that. And I wanted to announce on behalf of my director, Marty Miles, that our first official day is going to be tomorrow. So our doors will be open tomorrow to begin accepting clients on a walk-in basis. So I wanted to relay that message. We are very, very new to the community. As I mentioned previously, our sister clinic and our main site is in Camarillo. So this is going to be primarily an office-based clinic where our staff will be in the office and our clients will come to the office to receive services. All our staff are bilingual. So we'll be able to serve a wide range of people within our community.
Great, thank you, Astrid. I know mental health is a major priority of the City Council in the city, so really appreciate you being here in the City of Moorpark, and looking forward to having your services available, open to our residents. So thank you so much for being here tonight. And if you can maybe hold on here this evening, we may have some questions for you a little bit later.
Of course.
Thank you, Astrid. All right, next we have Patricia Calderon, also at the Ruben Castro Human Services Center, Program Coordinator for Catholic Charities and Moorpark Pantry Plus.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Calderon. I work for Catholic Charities for the past 30-some years. So Moorpark Catholic Charities and Moorpark Pantry Plus is the same organization. Everyone is welcome. You don't need to be Catholic or have any religion's affiliation, documented, undocumented, white, Hispanic, African American, everyone with a need, we are there for you, anyone, regardless. Moorpark Community Service Center of Catholic Charities provides essential safety net services including food, clothing, rental assistance depending on funding, eviction prevention, utility assistance, electric and gas bills, referral to legal assistance, medical and other agencies in Ventura County, including 211. We have holiday programs. We have 12 to 13 programs during the year. Backpacks, school supplies, Halloween costumes, Christmas toys and food. We have 35 devoted volunteers to help us accomplish our daily task. Our program runs with 2 part-time employees, myself and Cynthia as an activity coordinator. If you are able to assist the pantry and the community, we need food donations to keep our shelves stocked and ready to serve. We open Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays 9 to 1:30, and also Saturdays from 9 to 1. We are located at 612 Spring Road, Suite 101 in Moorpark. Believe it or not, sometimes our families are not coming for food. Sometimes our families coming for help, for hope. We have many families coming the last couple of weeks just for someone to listen. And when I said to listen, it is not like they're coming to beg. They're coming because they trust us. They know that they can come for hope. How many of us, we don't have sometimes bad days when you need someone just to hug you, to say, everything is gonna be okay, even though you know that's not gonna be okay for these families, right? Because what happens is that as sad as it is, we are not seeing humankind the same as before. When people come to Catholic Charities, all I see is a human asking for help. I don't see people with 3 legs or 2 eyes, 3 eyes. I just see is a family coming and seeking for someone to listen. But when I said to listen, it is not just to here is the food, go away. No, it's that they're coming to talk about problems that they are facing, fears. How many of you came to United States with anyone, to support you, to help you, to listen? And it's so sad that sometimes instead of saying, welcome to our community, welcome to our home, we're like, I don't care, it's not my problem. It is my problem. Because every single family who comes to Moorpark Pantry Plus, Catholic Charities, it is my problem. Because I was there. So, I am blessed to live in a beautiful Moorpark town where people care about neighbors, and that's the truth. I've been seeing so many miracles happen at Catholic Charities. When people are coming, when they lost someone and I don't have money, and that's the honest truth, and sometimes I said, yes, what can I do for you? In a year, 1 year, I help 8 families with funeral expenses. Having the resources that we have, sometimes it's impossible, but for God, nothing is impossible. So I've been seeing, people coming, sitting, crying, and I'm like, okay, dear Lord, I know this is a kind of obstacle for me, but I know that you're here with me. So I help the family without not having the funds, and that's the truth. Later on comes someone with a donation. And I'm like, oh my God, you're too fast. You listen to us when we need your help. Why? Because we're humans. Whatever they're doing in higher levels, am I worried about it? No. Why? I don't have a control. Whatever they're doing, there is their problem, not my problem. My problem is my community, who lives here, who has food in their houses, who can I call and say, I heard that something happens to you, but behind you, you have the whole community. Let me see what I can do for you. And that's why we're here. Sometimes we don't have money to donate. It is fine, but we have a smile, And then some of us, when we see someone with a smile, what happens? We change our days, right? We're having a bad day, all of us. But if someone say, good morning, how are you? What can I do for you? Simple as, a smile change the whole day in a person. So, let me see, I did my notes, and you know, what is very difficult for me is follow my own notes. I said that we had difficulties in the past during COVID. What we learned during COVID, remember what we did, what they did to us. Every single one of us, we were where? In our houses, with our families. We were so scared. And we were legal, or maybe illegal, but all of us, we fear what was happening to us during those times. But we stick together, and we had a plan, and we move on, right? So that's the beauty of our community. We work together, we stick together, and then if something happens to one of our families, it happens to all of us, because we are together, we are one family. Wherever you're blue, red, purple, we are one family. This is our community. This time is difficult. Our families are living in fear. Children not sleeping, thinking if tomorrow they will see mom and dad coming back from work. And that's the reality nowadays. When some families, they don't have family members here, but they have to work, because if no one works in the house, who's gonna feed them? Of course, you have other agencies that supporting the same thing, food, clothing, but what else? Is something else that I am worried about, mental health. How many people during COVID, they decided this is not a place for me. And now again, how much can our families take? If we as legal, we have our stress level so high, just imagine the people who are illegal, undocumented, whatever you wanted to call it, and they don't have family members here. Those are my families. Those are the families that are being hurt during the past couple of weeks. Families where they're coming and they don't want it to go out because they are afraid that someone come and get the dads or even their children. Again, whatever they're doing higher levels, we don't have control. It's okay, but we have control what we're doing in our communities. And I think that sometimes I feel like for us to value the light, we need to be in dark. Right now we are in the dark, but soon we'll be in the light again, but all together. We are one community. And then I have to say that I have to say my speech in Spanish, and I'm gonna change everything because whatever I said to you is something that comes from my heart. And I really thank all of you for being part of our community. And I know many of you that are coming with donations, and many of you are coming with food or food deliveries right now. And I do appreciate what you're doing for our communities, because it's very easy for me when I am behind the desk. Thank God I am not in front of the desk asking for help, right? So we have to count our blessings, because really honest, when we have our home, maybe someone else don't have any. So why don't share with them? Why? I mean, we decided to have all the stuff stick in the closets when there is people that they can use it, right? So please don't stop to be human, because that's what hurts the most. We only have one earth, and seems like we have another one, I don't know where, because we are trying to destroy ourselves among each other. So I'm sorry, but I don't know what is wrong with us when I see all the people hurting other people. Thank you. That's in English, okay? So now in Spanish. Mi nombre es Patricia Calderon, coordinadora del programa de Caridades Católicas de Moorpark, Banco de Comida. Todos son bienvenidos, no es necesario ser católico ni tener ninguna afiliación religiosa. Documentados o indocumentados, blancos, hispanos, afroamericanos, cualquier persona que necesite ayuda es bienvenida a nuestra agencia comunitaria. El Centro de Servicios Comunitarios de Caridades Católicas proporciona servicios esenciales como alimentos y ropa, asistencia de renta dependiendo de fondos, prevención de desalojos, asistencia de servicios públicos, facturas de electricidad y gas, información sobre asistencia legal médica y otras agencias de alimentos en el condado de Ventura. También tenemos información acerca de la línea 211. Nuestro programa tiene de 12 a 13 programas durante el año. Tenemos mochilas, disfraces, juguetes. Tenemos 35 voluntarios para ayudarnos a realizar nuestras tareas diarias. Nuestro programa cuenta con 2 empleados de tiempo y medio, Cintia como coordinadora y yo. Y vuelvo a repetir, a veces las familias no vienen en busca de asistencia alimentaria o económica. Vienen a hablar de sus miedos, preocupaciones, problemas de sus vidas. Ellos están buscando esperanza. Nosotros queremos ser esa persona que dé esperanza en momentos difíciles. Tengo la bendición de vivir en un pueblo hermoso que es Moorpark, donde la gente se preocupa por los vecinos. Tuvimos dificultades en el pasado, durante COVID, donde estuvimos que estar dentro de nuestras casas sintiéndonos desesperados y estresados. Pero nos mantuvimos unidos como comunidad y sobrevivimos. Estos momentos son difíciles. Familias viviendo en miedo, niños sin poder dormir pensando si volverán a ver a sus padres. La ansiedad y el miedo en su máxima expresión. Pero tenemos la esperanza que pronto pase y vuelva a ser normal. Nos tenemos los unos a los otros para apoyarnos. Para que la luz sea valorada necesitamos estar en la oscuridad. Ahora mismo estamos en la oscuridad, pero pronto volveremos a ver la luz. El pueblo unido se mantiene unido para siempre. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia. We have another organization here, one of the biggest partners here at the City of Moorpark. I want to introduce to you all Julius, Dr. Julius Sokenu, President of Moorpark College.
Thank you so much for inviting us to participate in this workshop. Julius Sokenu, I serve as the president of Moorpark College, and I have with me Dean Marnie Hernandez. She's one of the deans of Moorpark College and one of the deans of student learning. I'll talk a little bit about our ethic, and then Dean Melendez will provide you with some of the specific details of things that we're doing in support of our student population. First of all, we're your local community college. Yeah. And more importantly, we're in the human development business. That's what we do. So if we're in the human development business, all humans are eligible for our services. We at Moorpark College serve anyone who comes to us. We're an open institution, we're an open admission institution, which means that we accept anyone whether they have legal immigration status or not. It also means that a lot of our students come from mixed status families. 45% of our student population is Latinx, 8% of our student population is Asian, less than 2% of our population are African Americans. And when you look at our student population in terms of who and where they come from, it's as diverse as possible. Our college district, the Ventura County Community College District's position is that we're not only committed to serving all students regardless of immigration status, but that we know that student information is protected under the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, and that the California state law also protects student information. So our campus police, like many law enforcement agencies in our county, does not cooperate with ICE, and we do not interfere with the ICE enforcement process. We don't cooperate or we don't interfere as well. We also do not discriminate. As you know, we abide by Prop 209. We're educating all leads to a return on investment. Our belief is that if we educate everyone in our community, then the community prospers. We see the work that we do at Moorpark College as part of that long-term economic development of our county and particularly of our city. So when we talk about how we engage our community, and particularly when we engage our students who are undocumented or who come from mixed status families, we see them as the potential for the success in our community. I'm going to turn it over to Jim Melendez, and she will talk to you about the specific things that we do at Moorpark College to serve and support our undocumented students, to serve and support our international students. We have 100 international students on our campus who are concerned at this time, and to serve those students who come from mixed status families, and how we then support those families as they weather the storm at the moment. Jim Melendez.
Hi, thank you for having us today. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I know we're over time. So Moorpark College is committed to serving our students, our undocumented students, our students from mixed status. Some of the resources that we have are on the back table there. And so we provide comprehensive services. So we provide services for books, academic counseling. We have a Dreamer Resource Center where students can come in and feel safe and talk about what's happening in their home. We provide on connection with services for legal services for the UFW. So we've seen a lot of our partners here. And so one of the things that when we first started when Trump came into administration, we knew that we needed a resource book. And so back there, we have a resource book, very comprehensive. Many of you are in here, and it's something that is just to provide a little bit of safety for our students. One of the things that is also very important is that when students come in, that they know they have somebody to connect it to when they want to pick out classes, if they want to enroll. We have the California Dream Act. Some students don't know what that is, bless you. Some students don't know that they're AB 540, which gives them in-state tuition. So we provide all that information to them. We have somebody dedicated. We actually have a team of allies from ANR, financial aid, other counselors. Jackie Mesa here works directly with our Dreamers students. I don't know if you want to say just a little bit of something what you do, Jackie. Want to come in just because she does. She's the boots on our ground here. Just really briefly.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacqueline Mesa Garibay. I'm an EOPS outreach specialist, but I also support Dreamers on campus. I go out to community events. I know some of you maybe have seen me around the community. So we help out with bringing resources to our students, including Dreamers, EOPS, Next Up, which is for foster youth, CARE, and CalWorks. So a little bit about Dreamers. As Marnie explained, we do help out our students with bilingual services on campus, our counseling. We also do work with financial aid, A&R, and then we do also offer a great resource guide, as she mentioned, and a lot of other services. And we are up in the front for our students, me and Jasmine Oliveira. So if anyone is interested in maybe supporting us or having us at your events for future students or any students that just need the extra support, just let us know and we'll be there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I want to just add that our population for undocumented is about 2%. So it's a significant student population that we have on our campus, and we're hoping to increase. So with your help, thank you so much.
One other thing that I'd like to share with you, we know that there are students who don't feel safe coming to campus. So part of our work is to look at how we build our schedule so that students who might want to take classes online with us and who may want to engage our institution via our Zoom courses or our virtual classes, our online classes, have that access. So as you talk with people in the community and they're afraid to go to college or go to an official institution, please share with them that they can take classes online. And as Mani and Jackie mentioned, we have resources that we can communicate with folks online through phone calls, through Zoom meetings, and thus they don't have to come to campus. We can validate some of their documentation in that way as well. Thank you so much.
We are a little bit over time, but I do want to invite up our City Attorney Kevin Ennis, and he'll be followed by our Police Chief Nick Odenath and Sergeant Juan Ponce from the Moorpark Police Department.
Thank you very much, PJ. I'm Kevin Ennis, the City Attorney. First of all, let me just say I'm not an immigration attorney and I'm not an estate attorney. Thank you, Vanessa Frank, for being here and providing your resources and resources for your community in terms of legal services in the immigration field as well as the estate planning field. Many questions have arisen as to what cities in this situation can do, and of course, I think you're all familiar with the fact that the area of immigration enforcement is an exclusive federal power. The Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution provides that federal law prevails over state and local law when there is a conflict in a matter where the Constitution provides for federal authority. And the Constitution does express that with respect to immigration laws. So, we do, however, have the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution that provides that federal government cannot force states or local governments to enforce federal law or to implement federal programs and regulations. So with that basic framework, cities do not have the legal authority to block ICE immigration enforcement actions. Federal officials engaged in the enforcement of federal immigration laws do have the ability to enter into the city without the city's consent and to enforce federal immigration laws. California, as you know, has the California Values Act, known as SB 54. It's a 2017 law that prevents state and local government agencies from using their resources on behalf of federal immigration enforcement agency. The law allows for cooperation between local, state, and federal law enforcement in cases involving individuals who have been convicted of certain serious crimes. So that's a very quick and simplistic overview, but you probably have some questions, and I've kind of figured out there's some frequently asked questions, so let me try to answer some of them. So, do officers of the Immigration Custom Enforcement and Homeland Security have the ability to search city buildings and facilities? The answer is yes. ICE and Homeland Security may search public spaces in municipal buildings, public spaces, and other facilities such as parks, and they can do so without a warrant. However, if they ask to go into non-public spaces, the city can ask them to present a warrant. What type of warrant allows these officials to search non-public spaces? A valid warrant is one that has the following elements: issued by a U.S. District Court or California Superior Court judge, signed by a judge, specifies the physical place to be searched, specifies the individuals to be searched or the items to be seized, is dated, and has been issued within the last 14 days. Now, does the city have the ability to provide a flyer or have resources available to the immigrant community where immigrants can obtain services or hold workshops like this? Yes. It's a valid use of public funds to provide contact information, public services, connections to social service organizations, and other resources to assist the immigrant community. Now, questions have arisen in some cities. May the city operate a social media page designed to allow residents to post information where ICE activity has been detected? This is a controversial issue, and the U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California has recently warned the city of Santa Ana that that type of social media site operated by the city using city funds would be for the purpose of obstructing the enforcement of federal law and could subject the city employees to criminal prosecution. So there's a strong warning from the U.S. Attorney about that. Do city officials have the ability to go to a detention facility to inspect the facility or help connect detainees from Moorpark and their families? We know that members of Congress may make visits to immigration detention facilities, but local government officials do not have unilateral permission to do so unless accompanied by a member of Congress. So if somebody wants to arrange that through a member of Congress, that can happen. A lot of questions are occurring, as indicated even today. In performing duties, do ICE officials have to wear a badge or provide identification to persons stopped or being detained? It's the current ICE policy, it's my understanding, that agents only have to identify themselves after taking somebody into custody, and then arresting them, they have to identify themselves at that point. That's a policy that ICE has taken. So with that, those are kind of an overview of the limited role of the City of Moorpark, what we can do. Of course, as indicated, I think Vanessa Frank has a lot more information about what she can and her community of immigration attorneys can do to assist individuals who are at risk in these situations or have questions about these situations, and I would defer most of that to her since I am not an expert in that area of law. And with that, I think, you have any questions? Yes?
So what recourse is there if the ICE agent does not identify themselves in the case that you just described, whether it's their policy that they must do so?
I think that is really an open issue. I know that certain counties, certain groups such as, let's say, the United Farm Workers are pressing that issue with the Department of Homeland Security, pressing ICE to change their practice and policy on that. There are cases currently pending that are seeking to have a court make that determination, and that is apparently occurring throughout certain counties in California.
That's the ACL.
Correct.
There's a development, there's a settlement agreement in the Central District, the ACLU case, they have to identify themselves.
Yes,
So
correct.
The case is Kid v. Nome, like Christie Nome.
Right.
Sorry, the case is Kid v. Nome, and I think it's Friday that it came out. The settlement agreement was reached Friday, so it's like
And
really
there's
fresh.
one in Kern County too, I think.
Yeah, so but the Central District of California
Okay.
is San Luis, Santa Barbara, Ventura, LA, Orange, maybe Kern. I don't know, it's the Central District of California, which is that same U.S. attorney.
Yes.
That U.S. attorney's district, the Central District of California, which our county sits in, Kid v. Nome is the case that says that ICE officials have to identify themselves. They have to wear badges, numbers, placards. They cannot be masked and unidentifiable. So
Thank
that's
you.
that's fresh. That's a settlement agreement.
That's great. Thank you very much for answering that. Yes, question?
Yeah, we can get a microphone.
In the news, there's a case that's being brought by the City of Huntington Park. I don't know if you're familiar with it, that they are leveling a charge against, and this is the issue with people in the public, against two people or people that are pretending to be ICE. So I'm just wondering, what is the recourse for community members, for citizens, to protect themselves when that happens? And I don't know if you're familiar with what is happening in Huntington Park.
I have not heard specifically of that unless, Vanessa, you have any information on that? No, I don't. I don't know exactly. I know that there is a bar, a certain segment of lawyers in California that are civil rights lawyers, and they would be involved in that kind of an action. So I would suggest that a referral to a civil rights lawyer might be able to answer that question. Any others? Yes.
I had a quick question. So in the cities of Oxnard and Ventura, we've seen in recent weeks ICE showing up at the police departments and conducting their morning briefings in the parking lots. And both times the police departments went up to them and told them to leave. And then they said, well, this is this is a federal action. We can set up wherever we want, including municipal properties. And then they eventually left. So one of the questions I'm hearing in those cities are around the city's ability to trespass folks off their property, unless it's otherwise covered by statute.
This
So,
is my understanding.
it's a
If it's an
question.
open public parking lot, the city doesn't have an ability to say ICE off your public open parking lot. If it's a closed private parking lot, let's say city employee parking lot, yes, they can be requested to be removed from that area. Other questions? Yes.
I was just curious, is it possible for the city to establish something like Vanessa Frank was talking about, like a financial detainee defense?
I don't believe so, but we can certainly be discussing that later. I don't believe that's generally a permissible expenditure of funds to provide private gifts to individuals in that particular instance.
You talked about searching. Distinguish between a public place and a non-public place in a city village.
This is a public place, this room right now, it's open to the public, but the secured doors that are into employee offices is not a public place. Okay. Other questions?
So lacking a search warrant, they cannot legally enter a non-public space.
That is correct.
I'll have Chief Odenath come up. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Well, first, I just want to thank all of the speakers. I want to thank the mayor and the city council and city manager staff for putting this meeting together so quickly. It's quite a task to get this type of public meeting put together. I appreciate all the work that's been done. My goal today is to share the law as it relates to criminal law, the law that we follow, state law, and how in practice we exercise the law here in Moorpark and in Ventura County. But I also want to give you a little bit of background as it relates to the Ventura County Sheriff's Office in the City of Moorpark, because oftentimes there's some confusion about what's the Ventura County Sheriff's Office doing in the City of Moorpark. I see police cars that say Moorpark Police, but there's a sheriff's deputy in them. So I wanted to give that background first, and then we can talk a little bit about the law. So the City of Moorpark contracts with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office for police services and has for many, many years, which means that the police cars that you see right now, we've got the black and white Tahoes. That's what we're using for police patrol vehicles. They'll be marked Moorpark Police. Those are for the units that are working inside the city of Moorpark. But you also see black and white vehicles that say Ventura County Sheriffs. Those are for the unincorporated residents that I met. You'll see those in your area outside of the city limits. So we have unincorporated and city patrol services that are run out of the Moorpark Police Department. Services are all provided by Ventura County Sheriff's Office. So when you come in contact with a police officer from Moorpark, they're going to be dressed similar to myself. They may have a vest on with their gear, but you'll see patches with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office on their shoulder. You'll see a badge either with a shirt like I'm wearing here, or if they're wearing a vest, the badge will be displayed. You'll see their name on there. That's all part of state law. You'll see sheriff usually on their back if they're wearing a vest. So I've gotten some questions about identification. That gives you a little bit of a sense on identification, at least here in Moorpark and some other parts of the county where we provide contract services as well as patrol services in unincorporated areas. All right, in regards to the state law as it relates to immigration enforcement and local law enforcement, the law has been referenced a little bit. But I want to start first with the Truth Act. That's kind of where, at least in recent history, where it starts. So the Truth Act is transparency and responsibility using state tools. It became a law in January 1st of 2014. And the law limits local county jails from holding people for extra time only for immigration reasons. County jails are no longer able to respond to detainer or hold requests from ICE that were solely based on their immigration status. That's the Trust Act. Again, that passed in January 1st of 2014. Then we have the California Values Act, or also known as Senate Bill 54, which passed in 2017. Now, this bill went into law in October of 2017, but became effective January 1st of 2018. And this law, in summary, states or was designed to ensure that no state and local resources, in other words, local law enforcement, are used to assist federal immigration enforcement. That's what the design of the bill is. Senate Bill 54 was signed, as I mentioned, into law in 2017, but some of the key points as it relates to local law enforcement is that we cannot ask about somebody's immigration status. So in practice, what does that look like? And I've had questions about this. We conduct a traffic stop. Let's say you drive by an LA Avenue, you see one of our deputies on a traffic stop. We cannot ask about immigration status, nor are we in practice. The stop is related to a traffic violation or some other type of criminal violation. That's the reason for the stop. We're also not coordinating with ICE. I know that's a question I've received as well. Are we waiting for ICE to show up when we have these traffic stops? The answer is no. In fact, by law, we're required to expedite those types of stops. So if it's for a traffic violation, we address the traffic violation with that individual. They receive a ticket, they receive a warning, and they're on their way. That's one example. We can also not arrest for civil deportation orders, okay? So another example, let's say, for example, we go to a residence for a domestic violence call, or we go for a mental health emergency, and we come in contact with somebody who doesn't have status in the United States. We're not there for that reason. We don't contact ICE in that moment. We're there to make sure this person gets the services that they need, or if we're investigating a criminal act, that we investigate that crime. And once those services have been provided, or we've concluded our investigation, we're on our way to the next call for service at that point. In addition, Senate Bill 54 states that as local law enforcement, we cannot use Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, or Border Patrol agents as interpreters. So we would never say, again, the traffic stop example, have ICE come over to interpret in that scenario. We actually have a language line available. We have deputy sheriffs who speak multiple different languages that would respond to assist in those types of situations. In addition, Senate Bill 54 states that we cannot share personal information like a home address with ICE or Border Patrol unless it's publicly available. In my experience, it's never publicly available, and we don't share that information. The other thing I want to add is it relates to our custody facilities, and you brought this up a little bit earlier. So I've talked about the patrol side of the Sheriff's Office and service for local law enforcement as it relates to Senate Bill 54, but as it relates to the custody facilities, which the Sheriff's Office or the Sheriff also oversees here in Ventura County, local law enforcement, as it relates to Senate Bill 54, as it relates to responding to request to notify of release or transfer of an inmate, that local law enforcement detention, they can contact ICE if the inmate or the individual that's been arrested has been convicted of a serious or violent felony, or a felony that's punishable by imprisonment in state prison, or a misdemeanor that's considered a wobbler, meaning it can either be a felony or a misdemeanor depending on circumstances within the past 5 years, or felonies that are listed under Government Code 7282.5A3 within the last 15 years. So there are a handful of situations where if somebody is in custody in a Ventura County jail and they've been convicted of a serious crime or a violent crime, that the Sheriff's Office can then contact ICE and make that notification. There's also certain notifications that have to be made to the individual before ICE is contacted in this situation so that they can have proper representation. That's the exception, and Sheriff Freihoff has mentioned during some of the Truth Act hearings, Ventura County Sheriff's Office is contacting ICE during those types of situations. Again, I also like to state that Sheriff Freihoff has mentioned, and Sheriff Freihoff, to be very clear, is my boss, so that's why I'm referencing him. He has also made a lot of comments as it relates to immigration enforcement and the Sheriff's Office. He recently put out some social media content on safety for citizens as it relates to immigration enforcement, that's available online if you have access to those feeds. But to close, my hope is to be able to answer questions, and I will stay here as long as you need to answer any questions that you may have, because I know we're running over time. As it applies to people who call for police services, I know there's a lot of fear in the community about people calling law enforcement and the concerns that may have as it relates to their immigration status. You do have the ability, and I worked as a patrol watch commander for a year prior to becoming the police chief here in Moorpark. You can call and request to remain anonymous when you're reporting a crime. I know that doesn't solve everybody's issues as it relates to contacting law enforcement, but that is an option. I did want to put that out there. I do encourage people to call 911 if you're a victim of a crime, so that we can respond to assist as it relates to the crime that's occurred. Again, we're not involved in any of the immigration enforcement, but we also are not working with ICE to assist in coordinating as it relates to any of the planning that's been done or the sting operations that have been done here in Moorpark or any other part of the county. But with that, I'd like to close, and I'd like to have Sergeant Juan Ponce come up and translate this message in Spanish. And I apologize, Juan. I went a little bit off script, so the message might be a little bit different from Juan.
Thank you, Captain. Again, to reiterate, I'm here to translate the message of my police chief. Yo me llamo Juan Ponce, ojalá que me puedan oír los gente que habla español en el otro cuarto. Yo estoy aquí para traducir el mensaje de mi jefe de policía de la ciudad de Moorpark. Él se llama Nick Odnas y está a mi derecha. Y él quería explicar a la comunidad y a toda la gente de Moorpark que la razón que nosotros estamos aquí para ayudar a la gente, no estamos aquí para deportar a los ciudadanos de Moorpark. La policía trae un uniforme de los que somos el alguacil del condado de Ventura, que es khaki en la camisa, pantalón verde. En veces traemos también un chaleco que es verde, pero dice sheriff atrás y tiene las insignias de sheriff y también tiene los parches del condado de Ventura. Así es que deberían de estar muy bien puestos los uniformes, y también las patrullas. Muchas veces hay la pregunta de por qué hay las patrullas. Los que usamos nosotros son los Chevy Tajos, que son unas trocas y tienen las insignias de sheriff, y en veces también tienen la insignia de la ciudad de Moorpark. Y la razón que tienen la insignia de la ciudad de Moorpark son porque los oficiales que tienen este tipo de insignia es que trabajan en la ciudad que está de Moorpark. Las que tienen, en veces dice sheriff al lado, es porque trabajan en el área del condado que no está incorporado en la ciudad. Ahora, la razón que la policía trabaja en Moorpark, está contratada, la ciudad de Moorpark contrata al departamento de sheriff por sus servicios, y es por eso que mira cuando se baja un oficial que tiene esta insignia del carro, es sheriff, porque ellos trabajan para el departamento de sheriff y están contratados por la ciudad para ahorrar poquito de dinero y para tenerles buen servicio a toda la comunidad. ¿Ok? Aparte de eso, por favor, cuando ustedes, lo que quería decir el jefe es que no tengan miedo a los oficiales, porque nosotros andamos buscando violaciones de tráfico, crímenes, pero más que nada es que queremos mantener la comunidad que esté segura y que no tenga miedo de crimen o de cosas que están pasando en la comunidad. Ahora, aparte de eso, mi jefe quería explicarles que la razón, cómo nos miramos, la diferencia de nosotros y las personas de la inmigración, o como le dicen la migra, es muy diferente porque no usamos los mismos uniformes. y es importante saber la distinción en eso, porque la educación es lo más importante y también nos ayuda a no tener miedo. Ahora, cambiando aquí de tema, mi jefe de policía también habló mucho de ciertas leyes que fueron pasadas por la Asamblea, proyecto de la Asamblea o proyecto de la Cámara del Senado, que habla a ciertas leyes como el proyecto de la Cámara SB 54, habla también que la policía local no puede ayudar a la inmigración federal en el enforzamiento de la inmigración. O sea que no podemos ni trabajar con ellos, no podemos darles información o compartir información, compartir dirección, compartir cosas de que sabemos. También no podemos usar a la inmigración como para traducir. Si paramos un carro y la persona no habla español, tenemos que hablar de un oficial que habla español, o también la tecnología ha avanzado mucho, ¿verdad? Tenemos apps que podemos poder traducir para la gente, y también tenemos diferentes programas donde podemos hablarle a una línea que traduce y nos traduce en tiempo real. Hablamos con la persona y nos traduce en el lenguaje, sea español, sea francés, japonés, o usted dirá. No estoy dando totalmente el mensaje de mi jefe de policía, y a lo mejor me puede demover después de este tiempo, pero quiero decirles, como él dijo, que no estamos trabajando con ICE, no estamos trabajando con la migra, y él es mi jefe, y luego el jefe de él y el jefe también mío es el sheriff Jim Freihoff. Ha dicho varias veces que no participamos en redadas o en órdenes de cateo con la inmigración, ¿verdad? Nosotros trabajamos para el condado de Ventura y estamos aquí para ayudar a la gente, y la razón que no trabajamos con la inmigración es porque queremos que la gente nos tenga confianza, no nos tenga miedo, y queremos trabajar en cooperación con la gente de Moorpark y con nuestra comunidad. Si necesitan al llamarle a la policía también y tienen miedo de identificarse, o que a lo mejor doy mi nombre o lo que sea, no necesita dar su nombre, puede llamar y ser anónimo, y pedir que sea anónimo cuando llama al 911. Así es que el jefe de policía dice que por favor llame al 911, queremos trabajar con ustedes, queremos porque no podemos hacer este trabajo solos, necesitamos la asistencia y la cooperación de la comunidad de Moorpark. Así es que también cuando paramos un carro, el último comentario aquí, cuando paramos un carro no estamos preguntando por el estatus migratorio de la persona, ni queremos saber, ni nos importa eso. Queremos agarrar información o ayudarles cuando están reportando algún crimen o algo que nos ha ayudado. Y yo he visto, ya tengo yo 53 años en esta comunidad, trabajando aquí, sirviendo a la comunidad de Moorpark y al condado de Ventura County, el condado de Ventura, y quería decirles que yo he visto primeramente y he trabajado con muchos personas y negocios de Moorpark, y con muchos ranchos y la comunidad en general, y todo el tiempo hemos tratado de salir adelante y tratar de ayudarnos unos a los otros. Así es que perdón si no traduje el mensaje exactamente, pero pienso que agarré la mayoría del mensaje a los que hablan español. Gracias.
And if I may, so a couple of questions were asked that I think they were waiting for me to come up. And one of them was essentially, what happens if we have somebody who has no identification and we think we're witnessing a kidnapping taking place? What are we supposed to do? If you're witnessing what you believe to be a violent crime happening in front of you, that's a 911 phone call, and we come and investigate it. Now, if it's an immigration enforcement and we determine it is, we're not going to interfere with that, right? We've already addressed that. If we find out that this is somebody who's impersonating immigration, then we can take actions, criminal actions in those situations. So again, I would encourage you to call 911 if you feel like a crime's taking place in front of you to answer those questions. I don't know. Do we have enough time, PJ? Okay.
Are you getting calls like that about alleged kidnappings that turn out to be ICE activity?
I'm not aware of any in Moorpark. Juan, are you aware of any? No. Yeah, we're not aware.
Hi, you said that the county sheriff is not working with ICE, but aren't the transfers voluntary? Like, there's no legal reason for you to comply with transferring individuals into ICE hands? Isn't that cooperation?
As it relates to the detention facilities?
SB 54?
Yeah, so well, there's two parts to SB 54. There's the patrol side, which is relates to like here in Moorpark as we provide patrol services, and then detention facilities after somebody's been convicted of a serious or violent felony. In the case of detention, where an individual has been convicted of a serious crime or a felony, yes, the sheriff's office is making notification to ICE of that per SB 54.
But that is voluntary, correct?
That is, yeah. And
So
that's a
we're
decision by the
choosing-
sheriff to do that. That's correct.
Okay, how can we influence the sheriff to stop doing that?
So part of the Truth Act is that they have these annual meetings, and I know that's been some of the conversation is at those meetings to try to change that in working with the sheriff and the board of supervisors.
Hi, yes. First of all, my heart goes out to the law enforcement for Moorpark because you guys have worked really hard to have community, the trust. You work really hard, and throughout these years, that's what makes Moorpark who we love, all of us here. So I'm really sad that, this kind of activity is sort of disintegrating, that kind of long-term efforts that you guys have made. And even more so, I just want to express, I know many of us feel just the sad reality that law enforcement, who do our people call when laws are being broken? They're being kidnapped, their physical property is being damaged, their rights, not even identifying, they can't call you, this is a double-edged sword, and it's just so sad, and it's just that there's no one for them to call other than, okay, go 805 after the fact, after your person, has, or father, whatever, has been taken, and, sometimes they're moved by the time you call, they haven't moved, nobody knows where they are, etc. It's just the sadness of there's powerless, there's no one to do anything, about other than try to find a lawyer, who will fight for you, but with a lot of no success because there's a lot of doors we just simply shutting. 911, have your call being hung up on. It's just, that's just, I have to express how just utterly disheartening is just, that's where we're coming from. But, thank you for what you've outlined, what your parameters are for the city, whatever, but for the people, it just clarifies there's nothing much we can do, right? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to take one more. I know one of the Spanish speakers had a question and has been waiting since a little bit earlier, so I think we're going to have them ask the question, and then unfortunately we're going to have to wrap it up just because we're really late on time right now. But we do have one more Spanish speaker, and then we'll go from there.
Una pregunta, ¿qué tal de cierto es si el Highway Patrol te para, te puede entregar a manos de inmigración y que si un ranger del parque también te puede pasar a migración?
¿Puedo repetir la pregunta pero en inglés está bien? So she's asking, how true is it that a highway patrol can stop you and hand you over to immigration? And I think a lot of, too, in the Spanish-speaking community, we look at the California Patrol as a federal, Federal de Caminos, because that's what we translate it from Mexico. And then also state ranger. if they stop you, can they hand you over to immigration?
Yeah, those are good questions.
Buenas preguntas.
So as it relates to the California Highway Patrol first, California Highway Patrol is a state agency, and so they're bound to state law, just like the sheriff's office or a local police department. So they must comply with Senate Bill 54, just like the sheriff's office.
So dice que el California Highway Patrol, como nosotros los conocemos los hawaianos, no pueden entregar a la persona a la inmigración porque son del estatal, no son federales y necesitan seguir las mismas leyes del Senado del número 54 y seguir y no pueden dar a una persona que paran a la inmigración. Eso no pueden hacer. Legalmente.
And then as it relates to state rangers, the state rangers do have some enforcement powers. It's a little bit different than police and sheriffs or the California Highway Patrol. But again, they're state rangers, state park rangers, and they also have to abide by state law and Senate Bill 54.
Y los rangers también trabajan para el estado, así es que ellos no deberían de poner ni pueden entregar a la persona a la inmigración legalmente. Okay, she says okay, thank you.
And then I know we're out of time for questions. I will be here off to the side or in the back afterwards to answer the other questions.
Si hay alguien en español que tiene alguna pregunta, voy a estar aquí para después. Anyone in Spanish that wants to?
Great. And then just a quick announcement for many of you who may or may not be familiar, MCT On Demand, Moorpark City Transit operates like a rideshare program. It's the first one in Ventura County. Similar to Lyft or Uber, but there are designated stops throughout the community where you can get picked up and dropped off. We've added about 40 new stops into our neighborhoods and into different shopping centers where you can reach your doctor's offices, your dentist, grocery stores. Ruben Castro Human Services Center have added a stop there. So that for those of you who are using that service or want to use it, it's only $1 to use it within the city. So feel free to call City Hall or look at our website for use of that service. And then I do want to thank all the speakers for making it out this evening. We will be posting this video tomorrow on the city's website, both in English and in Spanish, so feel free to share that with people who couldn't attend this evening. I think we had about 30 or 40 people also watching this online. With that, I'm going to call up the mayor to go ahead and just some closing words and adjournment. Okay. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to all the speakers. Let's give them a round of applause real quick. Thank you all for coming out. PJ, I want to thank you specifically for getting this together as soon as possible. Remember the day after our last council meeting, I gave you a call and I said, let's talk about this. And you said you already had it all handled. So thank you so much. And no, seriously, that's a really good thing. We want to get going forward on a lot of these things as fast as possible. I want to just take the time to just acknowledge the fear and the anger this has brought to our community. It's sad because we've never really seen something like this before. We're a tight-knit community. We're a small community of people. There's probably about 1 degree of separation between all of us in town. And to see this kind of stuff happen around here, it's tough. It's tough to see. A lot of great information tonight. So if you know people that weren't able to make it, please share the link around there. I know there's some information on the back table. Maybe take some of those contacts. And please just share it out there. And thank you all for coming. And with that, I'll go ahead and I'll adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you.